What's up, YouTube? This is JP Panther back with a video, and today's video is actually going to be a DBZ discussion type video, and this is something I really want to talk about because it's been on my mind for a good amount of time. I kind of want to talk to you guys about this because right now when anime is getting kind of popular, finally getting its clout, getting its recognition, and you got like Star Wars and DC and Marvel and all those other key culture, sci-fi properties. And I want to talk to you guys about this, and let me know in the comment section below. This is just how I truly feel. This whole entire video is pretty much, do you think Dragon Ball Z, since it's literally the most popular anime in the world, do you think Dragon Ball Z can ever have the same level or clout or popularity as a Marvel, DC, and Star Wars when it comes to big blockbuster movie wise? And I'm just going to give you my thoughts about it and why it can't. In my personal opinion, I feel like it has the potential, but I do think it's just a lot of stuff holding it back. Because like in America, it's like, anime fans, we love it. It's popular among us and stuff like that. But the problem is that you have it where a lot of people, or just say general public, will be nitpicky about it. You feel me? I think the problem is that you have it where, I don't know, I feel like Dragon Ball Z, My Hero Academia, and Naruto, or even Bleach, are the most westernized animes out. So I don't want to hear all that bullshit, can't translate and all that bullshit. I don't want to hear that bullshit. I do feel like a lot of people will be nitpicky about it, where they do think anime is overacting Japanese people running around screaming about friendship and love, powering up 30 minutes and doing these cinematic big-ass attacks. I do feel like you have people that are nitpicky about that. Also, the problem is I feel like this is one of the reasons why I think Marvel and DC, even Star Wars, even though as much popular they are, they have the big budget movie stuff like that, I feel like they shoot themselves in the foot. Like Disney and Warnerbros and all of them, I feel like they kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit as well, because the problem is that when you promote these big blockbuster franchise, the problem is the people you try to appeal to, like the general public, they're not going to go out and buy the comics or buy the books and stuff like that. You should appeal really to the hardcore fans, but I get you're from a business, you want to try to appeal to everybody. But it's like, why would you try to appeal to everybody if you know they're not going to support it off the screen? You feel me? They're not buying the comic. I mean, look at Marvel Comics. The thing is, you look at these movies, right? You see Endgame and Wonder Woman and freaking Joker and Black Panther and Captain Marvel. That success does not translate to the comic books or to the graphic novels or to the books. The problem is that you're trying to appeal to a bunch of motherfuckers who may or may not give a shit. And it's true, because if they did, the comic book industry wouldn't, at least in the American comic book industry, wouldn't be completely destroyed. Where, at least with Japan or Shonen Jump Shueisha, they kind of just appeal to people like me or people who are really into it and be like, listen, we got the anime, we appeal to you, we're not going to do all this Easter egg bullshit, we're not going to do just, we're going to do fan service anytime we want. We're appealing to the people who like us and the people who don't like it, who are nitpicky about it. If they want to jump into it, fine, but we're not going to break out legs and ankles to try to reach out to you. You better try to reach out to us. But like with anime, at least Japan, they're like, we're keeping our audience, we're going to try to make y'all happy, we're going to do all the fan service stuff. We're not going to do a 23 movie, 11-year build-up, and then we give you your crazy fan service endgame kind of moment. You feel me? Like, you should be doing endgame kind of movies on every fucking 23 movie. You feel me? Because the problem is with the Marvel movies and DC movies, they try to do it where it doesn't throw off the general public, but the problem is the general public are not going to be supporting the source material off the screen. They're not going to spend like $4 or $5 on a comic book issue and really support these stories that they can be adapted on the big screen. Where in Japan, they appeal to us. They appeal to people who, if the anime catches up to the manga, if I'm interested, I'll either buy the manga or get the Shonen Jump app and, be caught up that way. American corporations, they just don't do that. You feel me? They don't have that whole type of relationship. They're like, the comics and the books division, they're in that garbage, and the movie division is this section and stuff like that. But I do feel like with Dragon Ball Z, I do feel like there's also certain things that, doesn't translate. No, it does translate. I do feel like certain things culturally, because what I've been reading and stuff like that is that the Japanese, at least, or Shueisha, whatever, they really just care about majority if it sells well in Japan. If it sells well in America, fine, but they're not really worrying about overseas market like that. They're just trying to appeal to their people and to their country and to their audience. Now, if it pops up in America, it helps the series getting like, for example, American, they care about the American market more than the Chinese market and all these other international markets, because we be bailing out a lot of animes like Dragon Ball Z. We're not even bailing them out, but making them bigger than what it is and making them really successful and make it where they get another season or have another anime come back and stuff like that. Like a Dragon Ball Z, a Naruto, a Bleach. Like, reason why I read is that Bleach came back is because of the American market. You know, people in America, really internationally, we're still buying the manga and really buying the merchandise and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I got two Bleach hoodies in my closet. I got Bleach mangas digitally and stuff like that. I got some physically. So again, like, you know, we do support the franchise. And it's like, oh, they look at that market, see the revenue that comes in there. Okay, that means there is a high demand for this anime, this property to be to have an anime adaptation on for our audience. You feel me? So they do take us consideration, but they usually just focus on the Japanese market. And sometimes when it comes to shonen, they'll pay attention to the American market. But I just feel like, you know, that's another thing as well. Like, you know, certain things like My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, we make it bigger than it gets bigger in Japan, and also they start doing more seasons or more mangas and stuff like that. You know, so we are part of the table. You get what I'm trying to say. But the problem is that, you know, the Japanese, they just have a different business model. American corporation, they have a way different business model, and sometimes it just doesn't translate or just doesn't connect or come together. So there's just certain things that the Japanese does and certain things that the Americans do. The Japanese is more like, we're appealing to our audience, fuck everybody else. America's like, we gotta kiss ass to everybody, these SJWs, these feminists, whatever. The problem is they're not buying the books. They're not buying the comics. It's the same thing what happened with Game of Thrones. People were watching TV show, but none of them were buying the books. And then when the books caught up to the freaking TV show, they had to make up their own bullshit ending, and people hated it, and then they lost a bunch of money because they're going to do these prequels, spin-offs, and side stories, and then the backlash was so strong, HBO just canceled it and got rid of it. So I do feel like with anime, or at least with Dragon Ball Z, I think it can, but it's really, really hard, and the problem is that they're going to try to... Problems when American corporations get into it, like a Disney or Warnerbros or Sony, the problem is they try to take something and westernize it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, they did the live action Dragon Ball Z movie, they made Goku white, they did all this stupid shit. Avatar The Last Airbender, Ghost in the Shell. I mean, it's all these properties that they whitewash like crazy. So I don't trust American corporation giving them China, not even American corporation spending like $200 or $300 million movie budget and think they're gonna try to appeal to the hardcore fans. They're gonna try to appeal to the normies. Look at Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. They appeal more to normies. The problem is the normies aren't buying any Star Wars thing, especially with everything's happening right now. They're definitely not buying no freaking Star Wars novels or comics or books anytime soon. Especially even if this stuff gets calmed down, what's happening around the world, they're still not going to buy it. And I just feel that's the problem with American corporations. They try to appeal to people who don't give a crap. Where the Japanese corporation, or at least Shonen Jump, the reason why they're able to, you know, do their animes and their mangas, because they're not trying to appeal to a bunch of people who don't care. And that's just facts. You know what I mean? So I think that's another reason why DBZ will be popular, but it won't be like the Star Wars, DC, and Marvel type of popularity. And also, let me know in the comment section below, would you guys really want anime to become mainstream like Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, whatever? Because in my personal opinion, if you see what's happening with the CV virus, whatever, the beer bug, they cancel all their productions and they can't work on anything. Where Japan, I think the Olympics, I think they postponed it. Like, for example, like, they're not going to have it this year, but they're going to have it next year. But, like, Japan, they're like, listen, we don't give a crap about this virus bullshit. We are still dropping My Hero. Like, for example, I still have the app. They're still dropping manga chapters. They're still dropping anime episodes. Like, they had the TV spot or the preview for the next My Hero Academia anime, where you finally get to see Hawks in Denver and the top 10 new Japanese superhero rankings. I mean, I'm not spoiling it because it's all in the preview. But they're still dropping that shit. They don't care. And like Crunchyroll, they still got like God of Tower that comes out in April. So there's still other stuff that we could talk about, and there's still other stuff that, as anime fans, we can still keep going. Where in America, when you have a big blockbuster or a big corporation like a Disney or Warnerbros or Sony, and something like this happens, and they can't do it because the governments or the government or their governors, state governors, sign executive orders where you can't do shit. Where in Japan, they're like, listen, we don't give a shit. Do what you gotta do, because it's a lot different. It's just their way of life is way different than ours. Because I remember when the Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods movie came out, or at least they were making it. The Japanese government gave them like, I think, what, like 10 or 20 million. I think it was like an extra 5 or 10 million to focus on to work on the Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, like animation and stuff like that. And they probably did a deal where it's like, yo, we got you, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know, some political thing, because the Japanese government just gave them like a bunch of money to work and fix on the animation of the Battle of Gods movie, which is kind of weird because, I don't know, it's just kind of weird when you usually hear that type of stuff, but hey, whatever. But again, in my personal opinion, it's just, I don't know if I would want anime to have the same type of mainstream success as a Star Wars, Marvel, and DC, because just because they become super popular doesn't mean their source materials get that same type of treatment. And if you think I'm full of shit, if you think I'm lying, look at the Marvel comics. Like, if Marvel comics, with the Children of Atom and the New Warriors and stuff like that, if you're doing all this bullshit, why aren't you guys putting this on the big screen? The problem is, I feel like they're not putting it on the big screen because they're not going to spend $200, $300 spending it to appeal to a worldwide audience, because Kevin Feige and all of them know this shit won't sell. But they think, alright, we can just do it in the comic books. Now the comic books ain't selling, and if the comic books get canceled, you're not going to have any source material to adapt on the big screen. You're going to have to be like Game of Thrones, or you're going to have to make up your own filler arcs and filler episodes, and you guys are going to be fucked. So, again, it is what it is. Tell me what you guys think. Would you want anime to become mainstream in America? I personally, in my personal opinion, I was like 50-50 with it. But now I'm thinking, as I'm getting older, and because when I was younger, I was like, man, I want anime to become mainstream like Star Wars and Marvel. Now I'm a lot older, I'm like, man, I kind of don't want anime to become mainstream in America, because it'll be a bunch of corporate and committee motherfuckers. It'll be too many people like Disney and Warnerbros and Sony and Universal interfering and fucking shit up. And then we've seen it happen before, like Dragon Ball Z, Evolution, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ghost in the Shell. Like, you can't trust them to handle these type of Japanese properties and think that they're gonna adapt it faithfully into live action. So that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure you rate and like the video and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Peace and have a great day. Take care.